Yay, yay. What's going on, Tennessee? T to the E to the double N of E-S-S-E to E. Yeah, yeah. It is the wolf. Let's get it in. Let's get it on. Let, let's get it on. All right, all right. So, this particular video, I added to the last little group of videos that I said I was not going to do any more of because I've covered this area. But you guys wanted it, so I just happened to be bored today. So I was like, all right, screw it, I'll do it. But yeah, for real, like this is pretty much it because I'm gonna add these last two videos, Tennessee and Michigan, and then I'm gonna start focusing on. So unless you have a case, okay, and we do a consult, then I'll look at those for right to travel. And remember, there's a difference between a consult and a court case. Okay, those are different. You can also go over to jameslovett.com and learn a little bit on how to deal with your own right to travel court case. And we also have the files to assist you in your success, educationally speaking. All individual experiences may vary on blacksite32.com. All right. So without further ado, hit that bell, like, subscribe, and you are now part of the tribe. So let's get going because the truth will not be denied. All right. So this one is on Tennessee. So right to travel Tennessee edition. Dun dun dun. Um, so I'm not gonna go through. I'm not gonna have the AI read every single thing, but basically, I told it to look up regulations and all of that. So, and because apparently some of you guys like to hear my voice more than the AI voice, a lot of you guys got a lot of recommendations. I'm just saying here, like, I don't see a whole lot of donations for a lot of these recommendations. Just throwing it out there, but okay, I'll try to switch up the AI voice for you. You know, your Majesty. So, all right. So in Tennessee, the relevant statutes that it could find under 55-4 101 states that vehicles operate on highways must be registered. Okay. How can they get away with saying this? Well, if you're smart, you already read ahead of me and seen that I had it highlighted. So I guess that kind of gives it away. So the word operated is a commercial term. Nearly everything ever mentioned that is operated or operation or operate is a public domain word that requires licensing. And it's on the public side. And it's under their administration. This does not confer that anybody on the highways has to be 100% everybody registered to the public. The highways and roads, freeways, unless they're private, completely private, they do not have the jurisdiction, as we already seen in federal code, to tell somebody that they cannot use it. They are used for public and private purposes. If that's the case, go and try to stop a military convoy operating in private capacity through a contractor when they're moving UFO technology from place to place and see how well that works for you. It's not. So if the government can do it, I'm not going to say we can do everything they can, but we created them. They are our subservient. They are inferior to us, but they are superior to the states. The states are then inferior. Their courts are inferior. But you know who they are superior to? You in public capacity versus your private state citizen capacity. They take our money. If they take our money, we are the boss. That's how it works. So the key defects here is that Tennessee never defines the word resident. That's a huge hole in their fence for many reasons. It's vague, and if it's vague, it's unenforceable without clear definition. Operate, commercial activity, Black's Law Dictionary. To operate is to engage in a business or function of. Thus, a private traveler is not operating a motor vehicle in the statutory sense. So, in their world, they cannot say, "Oh, we can give you a ticket because you're operating a motor vehicle." Sorry, if I've done everything correct according to you, your own your statutes, and Black Law's Dictionary that your inferior courts use to analyze an activity. I am not operating a motor vehicle. I'm privately traveling in my conveyance because I'm not required to be registered. I'm not a statutory person. Neither is the entity that owns my vehicle. I'm not engaged in business or commercial activity if you've done everything right. If you've left one shred of anything on the table, you are completely pulled back in. There's no argument here. This is why I didn't sue the police department when they gave me my tickets. Though I won my court case, I was not completely out, though the courts agreed I made an attempt to get out of it, and I had everything done except for the DMV, because the DMV, though they received my letter and I had proof of it, they didn't do as I told them in my letter. They're in derelict of their duty. From their perspective, it was, well, it's your vehicle. You do what you need to do. It's your account. Ah, okay, good to know. So I didn't sue, though I could have still sued and won. Should any of them bother me from this point on, it will be a lawsuit, non negotiable. So even though, they really pretty much don't at this point in time, but be prepared. So under Tennessee Code, Section 55-4-105, non-resident vehicles. Tennessee's primary non-resident statute. It states non-residents with current registration in their home state, okay, so this would be you, may use their vehicles in Tennessee, okay, though I'm not going to be in the corporate Tennessee to be worried about any of that, without obtaining a Tennessee registration. Okay, cool so far. Then it says for 30 to 90 days, depending on the situation. Wait a minute. So they're telling you all this, you're exempt. But then they're saying, but you can only have 30 to 90 days depending on the situation. How can they then add this in here? Because once again, they're trying to control the non-resident. But here's their problem. They hope you don't learn what I'm about to teach you, and you're as smart as me, and I'm about to make you just as smart, at least in this occurrence or event. I'm not in Tennessee. It says only if not employed or working in Tennessee. Okay, so it says they're basically saying you're exempt. Here's that part of it. Otherwise, they wouldn't say this. They're saying you are essentially exempt. You're exempt. We're not going to bother you. We can't get you on anything. You don't have to register your vehicle. But then they go ahead and say, that's all good, but you have 30 to 90 days, depending on the situation, and you're exempt if you're not employed or working in Tennessee. How can they say that? Because generally, people who are non residents are people who are registered in other states for business. They come to Tennessee to be in Tennessee to do business over state lines. So they're like, hey, you're working, you're making money. This is what it's really all about at the end of the day, guys. They don't care about us private people, though they don't like what we're doing, but it's not their business. They have no jurisdiction there. They don't like it when other people from other states come here and you come across the border, you enter into Tennessee. Why? Because you're employed and you're making money in and you're working in Tennessee, but you're not registered in Tennessee. So they don't like it because, and these are military terms right here, employed. All right. So they're saying you're basically in our territory making money, taking it from our area of business, from our private people and public, and you don't have to pay taxes. And we have no control over you. And within this geographical area that we share with Tennessee State, as we are operating as the state of Tennessee, you who are registered to I don't know state of Kentucky, and you're employed there, and you should just be working there, but we can't stop you from coming here. But we can say that if you're here for a certain period of time, then you're basically one of us, so we're going to tax you. Oh man, I love pineapple juice. That shit is great, man, and it's good for your nuts too if you're a dude. So all right, um, so yeah, I basically just covered that. It says vehicles already part of the public commercial registration system, commercial public vehicles, interstate use, non-residents who are temporarily in Tennessee for work or business. You've got 30 to 90 days, and if they catch you, they're going to ticket you. But that's commercial and public administration. We don't fall for that or under that. We overstand that when we are in our own unregistered to them, but registered to our trust, our entity, our government, our nation, or whatever, with our automobiles, our private conveyances. Then, of course, there's a reciprocity. Remember, once again, what I tell you, almost everywhere where you see a re something, they own it. Cypro city. So reciprocity. What's good in your city should be good to come back or to come over to our city. City, professional, our city. What's good in your city should be good in our city. You won't ticket, tax, and bother our people. We won't do the same to yours. In their definitions, they use the word driver. Now, I didn't see that. Maybe it didn't look or check, but it doesn't show anywhere in here, and it may have missed it. It does do that sometimes. That there is a clear definition for driver in their. Hold on, it says driver in Tennessee case law and black law. Okay, so it does. Okay, this is it right here. I was looking for it. I thought usually it's up higher. Okay, so driver is defined in Tennessee case law and Black's law as a person employed in transportation. Employed is not only a military word, okay, and we don't know what type of person they're talking about here, but a person who's employed. Okay, so this is also public side administration because if you're in the public, you're employed. In means that you are in something, and you're in what? Transportation. Trans is to change. Port is water. Ation is to animate. So you're changing ports, and that's an action. You're in the action of changing ports. That's maritime jurisdiction. Motor vehicle, defined for the purpose of commercial regulation. Operate, used only in the context of vehicle control for public safety enforcement. Historically, this is commercial. Of course, it's commercial because go see a doctor at the hospital. It's a commercial. It's commercial locations, commercial practice. He's got to be licensed and regulated and all that. He can't just be on the street like, yeah, I got you, bro. Give me that butter knife. It's cool. Traffic refers to transportation activity, not private travel. Traffic, literally the word, is commercial. Some more cases that back up constitutional overlay. These are not all of them. And because they don't speak about non-resident private vehicles, but they try to slide it in under what do they say? Non-resident vehicles. They're just talking about vehicles. It doesn't say non-resident registration exactly, but then they kind of throw that in a little bit down here. So you are exempt. So basically it's the same thing. But they taint it, they dirty it up, and they make it so that it's commercial. So it's like a double entendre. It means they're basically saying, well, if you're a non-resident, you're exempt. But then they throw in for 30 to 90 days, unless you're, as long as you're not employed or doing business, because they own those words. So they said basically, if you're private, you're not doing those commercial things, you're good. But if you're doing those things from another state or within the state, then we're going to claim some type of jurisdiction over you. Because once again, you're doing commercial things. You're doing private things, you don't have to worry about that. You have the right to do private uh, um, bartering. I don't like to use the word trade or business because they own that. That's why they call them the trades, and you're doing business, commercial, of course, corporation. So it says here the weak point is that officers rely on presumption, not law. Presumption cannot overcome a constitutional right. Statutory silence, the lack of jurisdiction. States cannot enforce what the legislature never wrote into law. So they try to slide you under motor vehicle. Well, that doesn't apply. That's a commercial definition. So you've won your court case just right here. And if you're going to take this apart on the legal level, you don't have the word resident defined. So it's undefined, which means it's vague and void, mute. Boom. Case gone. Now, there's ways to deal with them if they try to ignore this. Okay. I'm giving you guys the first like 50 to 75% of success just based on these things. So arguments to use in Tennessee. No statute compels a non-resident private vehicle private registration. Title 55 does not impose any registration requirements. So there are no registration requirements. Why can't they really require you to register? Because they cannot control the private. The only time they can control the private is when you convert your private side, your vehicle and your name to them. This is why having your name, which has been registered to them as a registered voter, registered 14th Amendment U.S. citizen, they keep it on file. And then all the different agencies get a copy. Why do you think the courthouse already had your name down there before you even got in trouble with the law? Because you registered for their stuff. You are starting to become one of them. This was your height. You were essentially brought on as a member of theirs, but they're not paying you. So you're not one of them. You're not a true trustee. You're not a public figure. You are a member. You are a groupie. You joined a gang and you're at the bottom of the barrel forever, essentially, unless you become one of them. But you lose your private side over your vehicle and over your name. Over your vehicle for sure when you register. Your name, mostly. Not 100%, but mostly. It becomes quasi. It's weird. It's dirty. There's a booger in the brownie. Yuck. You don't know where it is. So they're like, well, if it's in there, if a little bit's in there, it's all in there. So you're one of us. Private travel is not a commercial operation. But if they can find a scrap If your name is over your vehicle, you are driving. If your entity you created, they can find it in their computer database as a registered voter or U.S. business. And let me say this correctly, a business where you went and got your EIN through the state, not the government. That's a different jurisdiction. Then you are driving. You didn't close your driver's license out, and the cop wants to say, well, I think you're driving. Now, do you have to close out your driver's license? No. A police officer could literally do his job and then have a private vehicle at home and do right to travel. Absolutely. Anybody can. Everybody can. Everybody can in any of the states. But if you leave one shred of anything not private in their database, they will use it against you. But let's say, like my case, okay? So, summary, commercial, next step. All right, that's good. So, stop. All right, so let's take my scenario. So, the DMV did not take out all of my information like I asked them to because at the time I didn't know about the federal law for right to deletion. I didn't use that. I just told them to remove that information and I told them to transfer my vehicle to this entity in the letter I sent them. That's good, but no, you need to do it yourself. Okay? Otherwise, you're going to have what happened to me happen to you. If they can find your name still attached, which has been registered to the state, now that doesn't mean you have to give up your voting right. You can leave that there if you want. That's up to you. Okay? I don't want to sound like one of these old guys. What it is that you are going to be operating in private capacity, should be with your passport, and your entity with a foreign name to their system, properly done and notarized, etc., or registered to the government, or however you want to do it, there's many variations, needs to own that vehicle, and then you update the DMV. Now, cop comes along, sees your plate. Guess what? He's committing an offense right now on the federal level because you're operating private. He's interfering with interstate commerce. He can't just pull you over because you have a private plate. It's literally a federal offense. Don't be Billy Badass. Be cool, be cooperative, record, memorize everything that's going on. Have your travel binder or whatever else out and on your dash. You only have to pull your window down 2 or 3 inches so that they can at least hear you. Technically, nothing more than an inch. You don't have to have anything that's smaller than an inch. That's all. That's all you have to do. Crack, put the book up, show your information, operating private, here's my trust, whatever else, blah, blah, blah. I'm good. If you've done nothing criminal, you do not have to get out of the car. You don't have to do anything like that. They have to prove what's known as RAS, reasonable articulate suspicion that you've committed a crime. Having a private plate is not a crime. Making your plate look like the state's or the government's, that could be considered a crime. Also, copyright infringement. But just having a private plate, no. Having no plate, you're allowing them to get into your business, your affair, whatever's going on. Speeding, they have a right to pull you over. Swerving erratically, lights blinking, one light is off. They have a right as the administrators to the public to check in with you. And if you look suspicious or sweating or nervous or they hear muffled sounds, that then gives them provocation or a cause. But if they're wrong, they're fucked. Well, that is at least if you know how to press charges on them, then go after them in the municipality in court and sue them properly. That's how it works. Sure, there's a number of people out there. Oh yeah, well sure, Wolf. You know, you're just some guy. You know, well, I would be just some guy if I didn't have a book like this and a number of others. You know, a $3,000 book that the National Lawyers Guild uses to teach their lawyers on law and litigation, on how to deal with police misconduct while quoting case law that wins $1 million settlements. I don't know. And a number of other police books that I've got from police stations and manuals from their websites on what cops can and cannot do. Come on, man. The haters gonna hate. I mean, what choice do I what possible chance do I have for people not to hate me out there when there's people who don't all believe or love God or Jesus or the president or the previous president? Ain't nobody escaping not being hated. So I don't care. I wear that shit like a trophy on my arm. I just find it funny because it's almost insulting that people sitting there who think they know. So you can have a lawyer, okay, who is really good. This is what burns my biscuits. You got some of these cocksucking lawyers out here, all right, and whoever else who watch my channel, and that particular lawyer or whoever will study the law for what 7 years and 7 years, and then go on for his profession before he gets good at that one aspect of law. Because you're good at one aspect of law doesn't mean that you're good at all the other areas of law. It's not how it works. Just because you can read a book and suck a dick doesn't mean that you can build a car, bro. And that applies to all the haters out there who watch me. That's number one. Number two, um, who else? There was somebody else who was so for police officers, all right. So you take what, 6 months, 6 to 9 months to become an officer, when it takes a law professional 7 years to master one aspect of the law. So how could you possibly know it all? You don't. You know traffic safety. That's it. That's all you know. And how can I prove that? Because I've got friends who are cops and family, and I was going to become one. So you can say, "Oh, what, you didn't make the cut?" No, I didn't make the cut because I used to smoke a lot of weed, and I told them that, and I told them I was going to shave my facial hair, so they didn't want to take me, and that's okay because I'm making a lot more money than you privately. So let's move on. So you cops are not taught constitutional law. And then constitutional law is the superior law in the United States of America. But you're doing business technically, legally in the United States corporation, which is public administration over 14th Amendment U.S. citizens and anybody who disrupts the public in a criminal way. But you're not more powerful than a private citizen or the Constitution. And none of that gets waived unless it's by choice, criminal activity, or an Article 3 federal judge. You can't be judge, jury, and executioner on the side of the road. That is also a violation of the Separation of Powers Act. I know I may be saying things you don't want to hear, but ask your commanding officer in private if he's not a dick. Ask your chief of police in private if he's not a dick. They'll tell you the truth. They're not going to like it, so be easy. Just give me a heads up. You've been watching some of that sovereign citizen stuff? You may have to take him out for drinks or a dinner, catch him at his house or whatever else. Because remember, you guys are actors when in public capacity. So the law says, not me. Look at me. I'm not calling your names. I just want you guys to know the truth. What you do with it, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. But there's a whole lot of cops out there who know what I'm talking about. Some of them knew most of this shit before I even knew it, but they just can't talk about it when they're on duty. But once again, tra-la, tra-la. Believe me or not, doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. One thing I can't, no matter how hard I try, or whatever it was. So that's it, guys. Like I said, be at peace, be neutral, do not be belligerent combatants out there. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves and enjoy the holidays if you can. All right? Take it easy on yourself because nobody else will. Appreciate you. Stay in light, guys. Talk to you later.